About Zen, Chapter 9, Flow, Gentle Being. Any movement away from the present moment is not flow. Flowing is the unfolding of each moment. Our heads and minds think of many things that take us away from the present and into the past or the future. Imagine you desire a change of job. You might be an administrator wanting to become a manager. So you work hard. You write down plans, attend courses to increase your knowledge. You try and perform as perfectly as you can in the doing of all those plans. You want your potential as a manager to be seen by your current manager so that they promptly promote you. Then you'll be happy in your job. This is known as striving. You want to be someone other than who you currently are. In striving, we force issues. We demand change. We don't rest until we achieve the change. This is a form of ego, of self trying to assert its control over your reality. In essence, there is a fear within that isn't comfortable with just being exactly where you are. It's thinking about the future over and over, i.e., I'll be happy when this thing happens, or I've got to improve this to achieve that, and trying to force the situation. Any resistance to what's currently happening is non-acceptance, and that leads us into our minds to fix what is happening. It's okay to plan for the future and write to-do lists. The difference between non-striving and striving is to accept where you currently are. Notice whether you're doing things out of a fear base or a love base. If you're feeling a lack, you'll implement plans out of fear because you feel lacking in something. Until you get that something, you won't be satisfied. There'll be a discomfort in you. Even when you achieve your heart's desire, it's only a matter of time before you feel unfulfilled once again. Putting a plan in place to change direction will move with trust for the future, with patience and acceptance for where you currently are. That's non-striving. There is a certain irony in mindfulness that we come to the practice in order to improve our health and well-being, but when we're in the practice itself, we're here just to observe what comes in the present moment without judgment or trying to change things. This very acceptance we cultivate is building our trust in being okay in each moment, and that lessens our need to think too hard about the future. A more trusting person worries less. Striving is thinking about the future too much, to delay your happiness until something is fixed or solved. If you're not happy right now, then tuning into the feelings of what's going on in the present will help you to rediscover that happiness. No amount of material wealth, objects, or striving will do that for you. Craving is the desire to have something. Whether it's for chocolate cake, lots of money, becoming a celebrity, or solitude, we all experience cravings. We are certain we cannot be happy until the craving is met, and to resist a craving can be an intensely uncomfortable experience in which we pit our willpower against whatever is driving the craving. Oftentimes we lose that battle, which leads us to judge ourselves to be weak-willed. Cravings are a distraction from your emotional state in the present moment. They are trying to bring your attention to something that's going on unnoticed. It's just another feeling which fuels a thought process of, I want this, I need that. Again, there's this I, this separate being who is not at peace with the current moment. In my late 20s, I struggled with depression. It was due in part to my feelings of loneliness. I was always looking to the future, wanting my life to change. I craved a partner who would end my loneliness. I distracted myself from the experience of being alone and spent a lot of time thinking about the past, reliving my failures. My mind told me that, due to the past experiences of relationship failures, that I would always be on my own, that I wasn't meant to have happiness like other people. I compared myself with others and felt jealous of what others seemed to have. I used to strive desperately to meet new people, but people could feel my desperation, my anxiety, so of course things didn't work out. I was lost in a sea of thinking, of judgment, of blame, mainly of myself, which only made the depression worse. All that mental anguish, if I had known about mindfulness back then, things would have been different. I'd have released a lot of the thoughts and be left with, well, what? Loneliness is just a concept, although it tugs hard at us because we as humans are used to living in tribes, in community. The feeling of being alone can sometimes be overwhelmingly unpleasant and goes against our natural state. With the soothing light of mindfulness, we can embrace our loneliness or depression with kindness and non-judgment. We can embrace our thoughts about wanting what isn't currently here and give ourselves a hug. We can cry and welcome that too. We can let everything have its moment, its time. After a while of doing this, by accepting where we are, we soften. Our whole body begins to heal. Our tears stop. Our inner happiness begins to bloom because we can cultivate a resilience of being okay on our own. We can lean into our suffering and come out the other side. We can be compassionate to ourselves and others. We can breathe, we can smile, we can listen to music, we can dance, we can sing. We can do all of these things if we choose to. We can cultivate our own joyfulness. Mindfulness is useful for noticing the cravings, giving them love, and letting them pass by. We can decide not to distract ourselves with fleeting pleasures, watching TV, comfort eating or drinking. We can decide to sit with our pain, even if for just a short while. If we give in and decide to follow the craving, we can accept that too, but we're doing it with more conscious awareness and with self-compassion. If we decide to eat the chocolate we were trying to resist, then we can do it mindfully and fully experience the eating of the chocolate. In doing so, we might notice that a small piece was enough to ease the craving and save the rest for another time. We might realize we're actually hungry and prepare a tasty meal or a more sustaining snack. Neither is right or wrong. We can step into our choices with awareness and joyfulness. We no longer run away. We can take care of ourselves and remove thoughts of wrongness. Healing begins to take place. Feeling like we know everything there is and having knowledge is all very well, but often the world is going to come up and pull the rug out from under us. Even if we've experienced the same thing hundreds of times before, when a similar thing happens again, it's never the same. I like to give an example of putting up a shelf. We might have put up a shelf hundreds of times. We might know how to do it. Yet today of all days, this shelf isn't quite doing what we expected. This is a different shelf. This is a different wall. When things don't go as planned or expected, we can quickly get frustrated, especially if we believe we should be able to solve the problem. This is where becoming a beginner is a lovely way to look at things. For this shelf, I'm new. This is fresh. How do I put this shelf up? I'll try the usual methods, but for some reason it's not working. It's still wonky. Let me try drilling a hole here. Let me try a different screw there. Now it's coming. Do you see that being in the moment, noticing what's happening, and then taking steps to respond in the moment is very freeing? Our very notion of how easy something should be is a projection to a future that isn't currently arising. It's okay for us to struggle, for things to not be calm, for life to throw things at us. The trick is to accept it all and do our best. To be completely without ego is to understand that we're not separate to anything. When we really look for a self, it's hard to spot. If you were to look through a microscope at your own body, you would discover cells, atoms, and energy. Where is the ego in there? It's a good question to keep asking. The voice in your head is something we take on as our personality, our identity, yet it's only a manifestation of past memories and conditioning. With the past no longer here, who is this old self that keeps talking to us? You look at pictures of yourself from the past, and that person no longer exists. You have completely changed every cell in your body. Our personality can change during the course of our own life. Even our brain isn't fixed into the same neural pathways all the time. Are you the same person you were 20 years ago? We're constantly changing, just like everything else. Nothing stays constant. Nothing is permanent. Everything transforms into something else after a period of time. Noticing this fluidity can soften us and begin to lessen our ego mind that wants things to stay the same. To know we're not going to be here forever, to know that every moment is precious because no two moments are ever the same, encourages us to be more engaged with our life right now. We notice when the ego arrives to stop something from happening, to make something happen, or to coerce us into judging what has happened, and we stop. We pause, we breathe, we give kindness to everything, including the ego. We let go of our thoughts and we come back to the clarity of awareness. The more we can let go of the ego in this way, the more we build trust in this fluid nature of the universe, the more present we become and we start to feel part of everything, not separate to it in our own mind.